There's this debate about the fact that the Biden administration and the aid bill is providing some additional aid to clear the debts of black farmers. It led to, for instance, Crowder's insanely racist comedy thing. Well, it's also led to some other funny bits of video, including this from Meghan McCain, who wants to take a stand against people's identity being involved in them getting jobs.
Excluded women farmers. And so we're going to a place where even if people need money, even if people are qualified to get into Ivy Leagues, race and gender is more important than your skill qualifications, the content of your character. It is not what Martin Luther King Jr. preached. I think this is a very, very slippery slope. I was very surprised to hear someone like Tammy Duckworth say something like this. She got a lot of blowback from a lot of people, not just on the right. And I think this is actually just the natural progression of identity politics. And I will say, just to put a cap on this, The View is 25 years old next year. We've only had one Asian American co-host this show. So does that mean that one of us should be leaving at some point because there's not enough representation? We're talking about, is identity politics more important than qualifications of a job? And I think that's a question going forward that the progressive left is going to have to reconcile.
Okay, and before we go, because we're going to go and take a break, eventually we're going to come back and talk about the black farmers.
I just love Whoopi's reactions. Okay, so Meghan McCain is here to tell you a few things, but one, JR, is that it's someone's skill qualifications that should be the only thing that determines if they get a position, which is how The View has typically chosen people. Those with the most skill and qualifications get the job.
By the way, if The View would like to, I guess, have representation from an Asian American woman on the show because they've noticed that their demographics are failing in that area, that's up to them, because that helps people. They see someone that they identify with and maybe has points of view that identify with theirs to have a discussion on air. That's all The View is. It's folks talking about issues and having their point of view and perspective and discussing them. So if you don't have someone who represents an aspect of the country that may have views that you don't because you didn't live them, that's not a lack of qualification. That's just, where's the qualification for being, the qualification for being on The View is to be able to speak and have a conversation. Some people aren't good at public speaking. Some people aren't good at having cameras in their face and lights and people talking in their ears and stuff. So those are the qualifications you need to be able to speak. So if you don't have those, I feel you. But the thing is, we're gonna find that out on the first day if this Asian American woman comes on The View and then goes, welcome? Is that the word? So if you don't know how to speak and broadcast, sure, you're gonna have an issue. But having your point of view somehow, because of who you are, is a bad thing because you're trying to find representation for people who may wanna watch and see what she has to say. I'm trying to find the bad part in that. There's this assumption, and this is a basis in the white supremacy from the first place, which I don't think many people understand, not even white folks that are buying into it, because everyone buys into it. There's this assumption that if you hire someone and you have these qualifications for a demographic they should be, age, gender, race, background, whatever background you want to base it on, there's this automatic assumption, which she just made, that they're unqualified. Why is that? Based on what? That's a sweeping across the board assumption that if you are this minority that's being underrepresented and someone says we need that underrepresented person in our business, in our government, in our show, that somehow they're unqualified for it. Your starting point is that people that are underrepresented are unqualified for any position. That's supremacy.
Yeah, and so which areas of identity shouldn't be used for choosing it? Because The View has always had one conservative person. That's what they do. That's why Meghan McCain is there. She wasn't chosen, first of all, she wasn't chosen to be the conservative because of her skills. She was chosen, I guess there was one skill, as Parker Malloy pointed out on Twitter, she was the fastest sperm that John McCain was capable of producing that particular day. That was the skill that she had. But the fact that there's a conservative at all is because they want representation, because they think that's valuable for some reason that has nothing to do with skills. That's why Meghan McCain has that job. And when she eventually gets fired from this job, that's why she'll have her next job. It's because somebody wants to give the wealthy woman who is related to the senator some sort of position because they believe it'll benefit them in some way. But think about the implication. First of all, as many people pointed out, I would like to thank the hairstylist for styling her after one of the people from the Capitol as she talks about how skills and qualifications are all that matters. Really do appreciate that. But So she pointed out The View in its 20 plus years has never had an Asian woman as one of the hosts. So Meghan McCain, do you believe that's because there's never been an Asian woman qualified to talk about the news? Is that why? What I love about all these arguments is they will say, let's not take race into account because, and they'll almost never make this explicit, because I stupidly think that race hasn't been taken into account this whole time when it has.
Yep.
We should take race into account with the black farmers because race has always been taken into account when it comes to farmers. It's just benefited white farmers until then. It has always been taken into account on The View and shows like it in a way that has benefited white people. That is the status quo. It is not race blind or race neutral. This is an attempt to make it equal by recognizing race yet again, but in a way that doesn't exclusively benefit generally wealthy, generally attractive white women in this particular case.
It's a parallel to the whole cancel culture argument that Republicans, conservatives like to push, that, oh my God, look at all this cancel culture going on. Suddenly we're canceling people. Bro, y'all have been canceling people since the beginning. This is just the way it's always been. So when women come into the office, they've been canceled unless they're gonna satisfy your sexual desires. Minorities come into the office, they're gonna get canceled because of their name before they even get the job. People get discriminated against widely on a regular basis. This is the norm. Anytime the norm is racism, which it is, any change to that is gonna threaten the people who benefit from it. It's just the way it is. Hey, as I always say it, because I like to make sure you guys understand. I understand this personally too. I'm a man in the United States. I have benefits that women don't have. I just do, straight up. Now, there's some people who have more benefits than I do, and some people have less. But to say that suddenly I don't have any kind of benefit because of who I am, and people in economy on the street, they have a different perception of me. Sometimes positive, sometimes negative, but there is positive ones that I have. And I've been able to get jobs based off of where I went to school without knowing any about my background, education, what I studied. People offer me a job because they said, oh, you went to USC? Trust, it happens. It's straight up based off of just who you are, where you come from, and they look at that. But if they see Melvin Jenkins on an application, he gets canceled. It just happens. If they see Sharika Jones on an application, they go, she's an idiot. That's the way we've done things. So instead, when someone says, hey, how about you listen to what Sharika has to say first? They go, oh my God, canceling.
Yep.
Really? Really? Cancel because you have to consider someone that previous to this, you decided you just is unworthy of even consideration. But bootstraps.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
I guess I have to look forward to next year, John Oliver making her like you just got done apologizing for your racial insensitivity like 3.5 minutes ago. And now you roll through to this.
And by the way, people
learning is not a qualification, I guess.
They want Meghan McCain gone. And honestly, they brought her in because they were underrepresented with this conservative, younger woman point of view. So they brought her in. She was qualified because they wanted that demographic. I don't care, they can hire who they want. But maybe there's a certain percentage of conservative women who watch The View now that weren't before because Meghan McCain is there. Mission accomplished. ABC, they did what they wanted. I'm happy for you. I hope it works out for you because that was your business decision based off of what you think is gonna help people watch the show. So if an Asian woman's gonna help people watch the show, hire her.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's the same thing with anyone.
No, there are certain identities that just very naturally get taken into account and benefited, and we should never question that. But anything other than that, well, that's just unfair.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.